Welcome back to Mark and Nick's Excellent Film Podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Nicholas.
And today we're doing another thing. I remember how we said this. We
did a thing.
Yeah, we did a thing. And I remember how we said this show is going to be random. Well, we have another little series going on. So we're going to be doing the Back to the Future trilogy. Mm-hmm. You know, coming off of Jaws and Princess Bride, the natural progression would be to do Back to the Future. I was
gonna say, actually, it's not that outlandish. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, pretty on par.
Well, I think this is the best movie we've watched since Jaws, for sure.
Yeah, I think this is better than Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, the script.
Sorry, Katie.
The script is just so perfect.
Yeah, and it's also produced by our boy Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
And it has Jaws 3 legend Lea Thompson.
Yeah. Who I didn't even recognize.
Nope. And
still kind of don't, but...
Yeah. I mean, does it have anybody else Jaws related? I mean, we're going to have a... Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Not yet. No sharks?
No sharks. We have a lot of life preserver jokes.
Water. That's true. Some sailor jokes. That's the common thread that made us choose this movie.
Yeah. I promise that this show isn't just going to be like me and Nick watch a franchise. At least I hope it doesn't.
Well, it wasn't like that for a little bit. We watched...
Well, we went from let's watch Cindy LeMay's filmography into
Well, then we picked our stuff.
Yeah.
We watched Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
We did. We watched
That's
Over the Edge.
Random.
Over the Edge was completely random.
Yeah.
And then
we could just do blind picks of random shit too.
Soon, yeah.
Just go to Bull Moose and pick something.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Bull Moose, I actually found a DVD of Cruel Jaws, so Jaws 5.
Yeah. But we're not going to do franchise stuff. I actually got the fifth one in the franchise we just finished.
So pick that next year because I don't have the mental fortitude to watch another Jaws movie.
It's an Italian movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's directed by Bruno Mattei, but I could be wrong about that.
Mm.
This is a movie directed by Mr. Robert Zemeckis, who did films like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Forrest Gump and Castaway, and other stuff that is not so good, like The Polar Express and Beowulf and
he did the animated the Beowulf from 2013 or whatever that had the terrible animation in it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Mark had mentioned that he did Polar Express, and I was like, oh, that was kind of in Uncanny Valley for me. Beowulf is the other one.
Yeah.
I love that he did both of them.
He also did the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol.
So I didn't see that, but I'm sure that lines right up.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Does the director have that much influence on how it's animated?
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess I've never really thought about how directors of animated stuff works.
Zemeckis is good ending George Lucas in a way, where you know how George Lucas is obsessed with technology,
fixing the old stuff.
No, not fixing old stuff, but his obsession when he makes a new movie. He's I want to push film forward. So at the Star Wars, he's I need to have the first ever CGI character. With Zemeckis is the same way, where he was I want animation to look as real as humanly possible, so that we can make films and have no limits whatsoever. Just so happens that he found a harsh limit of these people don't look real.
Yeah, it's trying so hard it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, but every movie he does has that a special effect wonder. This one does a lot. You know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a marvel.
Yeah, that's a
live action plus animation.
It's funny that he started with the best example of it.
Yeah.
And then went on to make the
worst.
Hard opposite of it.
Yeah. Well, he also had Forrest Gump, where he was able to put Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he did do the retconning the past.
Yeah.
Him meeting JFK.
Yeah. Gerald Fitzgerald fucking Kennedy, my favorite president. Good old Gerald.
Great guy.
Yeah, and then they had the John Lennon scene and everything in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That is interesting. Does Castaway have anything like that?
I don't think so. I haven't seen I've not seen Castaway since probably 2004.
Wow. So I've only seen it once. Katie and I were actually talking about it recently, but I think we were just talking about being stuck on an island.
Yeah, I can't remember. anything other than well said.
Yeah.
And like the ending being weird.
I don't remember the ending at all, but I remember him having to take his tooth out with a ice skate.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's pretty metal.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a part of like that crew of like filmmakers where they always trying to push things forward, like George Lucas, James Cameron, and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I was
that.
gonna say when you say that, James Cameron's the one who pops to mind.
James Cameron is actually good ending George Lucas.
Well, he's still got time to ruin it.
He does. With
Avatar 5 or whatever.
We'll find out in a couple months.
Is that for Avatar 2?
Yeah. Avatar 2 is his first movie in 12 years?
Wow.
Maybe 13 years?
Was Avatar his last one? Or?
Yeah. He hasn't done anything since. He's been working on Avatar 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Avatar. We'll do that when it comes out. What we're doing here is we're watching Back to the Future, and it fucking rocks. This movie fucking goes hard. Debatably the best screenplay we've looked at on this show.
Yeah. It's everything pays off.
It is the tightest movie.
Yeah. The only thing, like, you had mentioned that we're going to talk about it. The ending, I think, is a little meh, but just because I don't like sequel bait stuff.
That's actually not my big problem with it.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get into more of like a psychological, political ideology debate possibly in this show.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah. Nick's like, fuck, I should not have come today. Yeah, no, but this movie's super tight. You know, you got Marty McFly. He's the kind of a slacker 80s mainstream media version of a punky, spunky kid.
Mm-hmm. Wears a life preserver.
Yeah. And he, you know, they try to make it seem like he doesn't have much going for him, although he can play guitar, he can skateboard, he has a hot girlfriend, you know, but his family is like, his mom's a drunk, his dad's like a loser, his brother is an idiot, and his sister can't get a date to save her life. You know,
they seem happy though.
They don't though.
Well, I mean, everybody seems happy except for the mom and dad, and in my opinion.
Well, the daughter's like, well, how can I ever meet anybody? The son is definitely happy.
I was like, he looks fucking pumped to go to
Burger
Papagino's
King,
or whatever,
yeah,
Burger King.
Pizza Hut or something.
Yeah.
But you know, Marty's just like, oh, I don't have a fucking 4x4 car, and I don't have like a
my dad's car got totaled, so now I can't drive it.
Biff crashed it. And well, one thing I want to say is the makeup, the old people makeup in this is phenomenal. It's probably the best
great.
Old people makeup ever.
Christopher Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I had his last name right. The difference back and forth, I think just because he's the oldest, is the most unnoticeable for me. Mm-hmm. Like, they probably could have done no makeup on him, and I would have been like, oh, he's just always been old.
Yeah, they did. They had a little bit to his like neck.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
But everybody else's looks great.
Yeah,
like the dad is. I wasn't sure if it was him or if they had just cast somebody who perfectly looked like a younger version of him.
Yeah, Crispin Glover's makeup is the best.
Yeah,
I think it's also because he does the most with his body.
Oh, that's
in comparison to everybody else. Like Biff walks around like Biff. I think Biff's is the worst. I think like later on Biff is like the ending Biff is good, but the first Biff where he's just like kind of like he's just a little bit pudgy, and same as the mom. Well, she's doing like they're all doing great. They're all doing a great job with like their body language and how they change it from when they're young. But Crispin Glover's performance is like a completely different human being, you know, and he walks around like an achy old man.
Yeah,
like he
still tries to do his silly moves and stuff.
Yeah,
and it looks painful.
Yeah, it's like he just looks like a defeated man the whole time, and I think it's because he's able to have the more showy character, it's able to come off better. But yeah, I like the beginning. I like Marty's shitty band, the Pinheads. Yeah. And how off time they are, and how like it's the 80s version of what a good guitar player is, which is Eddie Van Halen, but like that's actually not what a good guitar player sounds like. Like it's actually
cool though.
It's really bad.
Just going back to the makeup for a second too, were they they're all young and they're painted to look older, right? None of them are old painted to look young.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. They just aged everybody up.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I wonder if they did anything to make them look younger, but I was like, it almost feels like, especially like Biff, I feel like he looks more natural is the teenage version of him.
Yeah. Well, that would be very impressive if they were able to make like that guy look young. When I was a kid, I thought they were all different actors.
Mm.
You know, I just thought they were like, wow, they got some people who looked exactly like them. That's crazy. And then when I was a teenager and I rewatched it, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Like, where are all the other credits at the end?
Yeah. I like how the beginning is like the first act is a perfect first act where it sets literally every single aspect up with the clock tower.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like it's being super set up. Because there's plenty of movies where everything that's brought up is paid off. But you're like, oh, cool. I bet that sword comes back up. But, like, even the flyer that the lady gives them, I was like, oh, like, the clock tower is probably important. But then the flyer is how it comes back up. I'm like, I like that.
Yeah. I also like... I like the opening. We should talk about the opening sequence. There's like the opening credits is like we have classic 80s inventor dad style opening where it's like I think it's pretty much the same exact opening from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Cause isn't that how Pee-wee's Big Adventure opens?
Yeah, it's
well, it opens with him dreaming about the fucking it has him dreaming about the where he's like in the Tour de France and he's
yeah.
But it's like,
and then it goes into his machines doing his morning setup.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about the 80s and scientist dad. I think it was just because like the 80s filmmakers were all like born in the 50s, so they were all like sci-fi nerds.
Yeah, because there's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids has good ones.
Yeah.
But that's more like focused on the plot. When did Casper come out, the live action one?
That was in 95.
Okay, because that one I get that from, there's a scene towards the end of the movie, though, where like the basement machinery is going off or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one that always comes to mind for me.
Yeah. It's like, the 80s were obsessed with science.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think, because it's a decade built on pushing humanity back decades. But like it's obsessed with science. Like even like the big hit of the 80s, She Blinded Me with Science. You ever hear that song?
I don't think so.
Song rocks. It's so good.
I just instantly started like humming the Weird Science theme song in my head.
Weird Science? I've actually never seen that movie.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
that might be worth watching.
Isn't that the one where the two boys make a woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have I think they have a party or something. That might be another movie. But that was that was another one where the like the cable channel G4 would always show like random
80s
like
schlock.
just things that weren't expensive to throw on TV. And that was one of the things I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I have so many memories of like 80s movies and TV shows and even 90s like stuff where it was like inventor dad has inventions that slightly work but don't actually work.
Yeah. Do you remember the first one we talked about when the movie was playing? I feel like we didn't mention it.
Didn't you say something about... I don't remember it being in Gremlins, but...
I think it might not be the Gremlins, but I think there was an inventor dad in the beginning of that.
Maybe.
But I'll have to... I wonder what movie I'm thinking of. It'll probably come
You're probably thinking of Honey, Shrunk the Kids.
Nah. It'll come to me.
Okay. Back to episode 3 of this, Back to the Future 3, we'll be like, oh, it was this movie!
Yeah. That'd be great.
Just go on Letterboxd and look up Inventor Dad. And
somebody's made a playlist of it.
Yeah, someone should have something that says Inventor Dad playlist. I love the first interaction you get with Biff and
and the dad.
George, where he's like, I love the thing he does where he says, hello, anyone at home? And he's just like tapping him on the head. I don't know why, but I love the sound effect of George's oily ass hair. Like,
oh yeah.
It's so good.
Speaking of the oil, the brother has a great line where he's like, oh, he kisses him on the head and he's like, oh, time to change the oil.
He goes,
yeah. The dad just like breaks down. It's so great.
I like the bit where she's like, "Your Uncle Joey didn't make parole again, so we're gonna have the cake without him." The welcome back Joey, welcome home Joey.
And then even like a little thing like that comes back later.
Yeah.
Wow, her makeup's good.
Yeah. Her body language also is really good. She's like defeated.
Yeah, she's like it's like slouching a lot.
Yeah. Oh my god, George McFly is so good. Yeah, I like the whole thing of like Biff was like a bully in the 50s who never got put in his place, so he's just a bully now in the 80s, and he's still like watching her like, "What are you looking at, butthead?" And it's just like, that's so fucking accurate. When someone doesn't get put in their place, they just never grow. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. And I like how it pays off in the end.
Yeah. Did you find the
yeah,
inventor dads?
So it's pretty funny. No, I just looked up Gremlin's dad inventions, and he invented the electric hammer, the Pulitzer peeler juicer, the smokeless ashtray, and the bathroom buddy. So he did have because I'm pretty sure he had a little like basement workshop thing.
Yeah.
And I watched that. I think Red Letter did a thing on it, and I was like, oh, I haven't watched those. I should check that out.
Yeah.
I think it was before we started doing James Bond, though.
Mm.
But those are... I've watched the first and the second one, and I really liked them. Yeah.
There's only 2 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't there a third one?
No.
Oh, no. Did he...
You can tell by Gremlins 2 that there wouldn't be a third one.
What, that he was like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. But fuck you.
Yeah. I like the whole like thing where she's like, the sister's like, she's like, Jennifer called Marty and his mom's like, oh, I hate girls that call boys are asking for nothing but trouble. And she's like, I would never call a boy or sit in a parked car with a boy or talk to a boy. And this guy's like, how would I meet anybody with that? And she's like, me and your father met because of his
grandfather.
Well, yeah, because my father hit him with the car, and you know it was meant to be. We went to the Enchanted Under the Sea dance. He kissed me. It was. I loved him ever since. And then it just shows him being like an idiot. Yeah,
him just ignoring the conversation and watching TV.
Yeah,
even the episode on TV comes back.
Yeah. Well, my favorite bit in that is when she's like, Why were you in the middle of the road, George? He's like, what, Lorraine? What? Because, like, you know, like, if he is listening, he's like, I was peeping, all right? I was fucking looking at your nudie.
Fell out of the tree.
Yeah, because I was trying to see your tits. Yeah, and then, anyway, but Marty goes to the Twin Pine Mall, which also comes back. And
I would have missed that one, too. That was a nice little detail.
Yeah, this movie has nice little details. And he hooks up with Doc Brown, and Doc Brown's like, yo, I made this car. It's a time machine, dude.
It's pretty sick.
Pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. And they put the dog Einstein in there, and they send him away 10 minutes, or 3 minutes, or 4 minutes.
Just 1 minute.
1 minute?
Yeah.
There's no way it was only 1 minute.
Yeah.
That's fucked. That's crazy. That is some movie bullshit.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty dumb.
It had to be 2.
It's 1 minute, I'm telling you.
All right. Well,
it probably is 2 minutes in the movie, but the watches are only off by a minute.
That's fucking insanity.
Yeah, I fucking hate this movie now.
Yeah,
the script sucks.
Yeah. And he basically, Doc Brown is like, check this shit out. It's got plutonium. I had some terrorists steal it from me. I made him a fake bomb.
And that's earlier when we're getting the Science Dad montage, the news is talking about stolen plutonium and how they're like, oh, we don't think it was stolen anymore. We think it was just a numbers issue. Like the FBI is investigating it and saying that nobody actually stole it. And then Doc Brown's like, I stole the plutonium.
Yeah. It was me all along.
I made a fake bomb.
And after the car goes to 88 miles per hour, little Einstein goes 1 minute into the future. And Marty and him are saying their goodbyes. Doc's going into the future. He also says some stuff about like going to the past, like if you want to see the birth of Christ, if you want to go see the Declaration of Independence if it's signed, if you want to go to Another Good Day in Silence, November 5th, 1955, and he gets all nostalgic. He was like, that's the day I invented time travel. I hit my head off a toilet, hanging a clock over a toilet, and I fell, hit my head, and that's why I came with a flux capacitor, which comes back. And But then the terrorists show up and they shoot Mr. Doc Brown, and Marty has a good 80s no.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it's not Mark Hamill level, but it's up there.
He actually kind of reminds me of Mark Hamill. Now that you mention that,
yeah, a star of a trilogy that and don't do anything else really of note.
Well,
the only other Michael J. Fox thing I can think of off the top of my head is like Teen Wolf. That's like somewhat noticeable, like notable. Like everything else is like kind of like a forgotten relic of the past. Like I don't think anyone's sitting around being like, "Oh, fucking Doc Hollywood rocks," or fucking The Hard Way with James Woods. Hell yeah. It's like no one's like looking at Mark Hamill being like, "Oh, I love Slipstream and fucking Corvette Summer." But yeah, no, they both have like the same naive, white suburban boy,
thrown into situation.
Yeah, who are both kind of whiny. He's not. Michael J. Fox is definitely not as whiny as Luke Skywalker is.
I mean, he was stuck on a desert planet forever, though. You'd be whiny too.
Well, yeah, this is dialogue like this. I think it's like first line in the entire trilogy. Our main character's first line is like, "But I was going to a Taj station and pick up some power converters."
It's hot.
Okay. He bitches the entire like first 3 acts of the fucking first. Actually, I think he bitches throughout the entirety of the first 2 movies.
I believe it.
It's the Skywalker way. All he do is bitch. Anyway, after he gets killed, Marty gets into his car. Gets into the DeLorean, the famous, iconic time-traveling DeLorean car, and he hits 88 miles per hour and goes back to November 5th, 1985, and it's awesome because he crashes into a pine tree, and then into a barn, and these people come in, and it just so happens that Marty's car and outfit looks exactly like the cover of this sci-fi book that this little kid read.
Yeah.
And they immediately get a gun to go shoot this man. He's like, what does he call him? Like, you changeling, you DNA stealing son of a bitch.
That's great. I don't remember. I know the son's like, it's disguising itself as a humanoid.
Yeah, it's already taken its human form.
Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the also like it's like one of those things you don't think about when you like the idea when you think of time traveling. You think you can just like show up wherever you want, but you don't realize that if you're time traveling, you're probably going to be in the exact same spot that you're at.
Yeah, and then wearing exactly what you're wearing. And there's a what movie? There was some movie where the oh man, it might be Doctor Who or something. Like when they're traveling, the device that they're in like adapts to what it should look like there. So
isn't it Endgame?
Maybe
because they're wearing like the white suits or whatever.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
they go back and they're wearing what they were wearing in that era. Because Marvel is like CGI is awesome. Let's just CGI everything.
Yeah.
Who needs to pay a costume designer when we get a CGI suit on them?
Yeah, just wear green.
Yeah.
Because the big example that I always think of the opposite of that is Tim and Eric, not Tim and Eric. What?
Bill and Ted,
yeah. Just having the phone booth show up wherever.
Yeah.
And they're in like a medieval castle and it's just still a phone booth. Yeah. With gum and clothes hangers on the roof of it.
Yeah. I love the first time Marty ends up in town and he's like, and you just see like the culture shock that he's having from just being 30 years in the past. And it's because we spend so much time in Hill Valley earlier in the film that it's like such a nice little payoff.
Yeah, you get the little montage of him skateboarding around and it's great.
Yeah. And then he goes to like the diner and he's like, he's not fitting in very well. And then fucking who's there but his fucking dad. And they're in the exact same pose.
Yeah. And I think that's a like perfect reveal because I don't even know if he was in frame before that, but I hadn't noticed him until kind of switched to that shot, and I was like, oh, hey, they're doing the same. Oh, that's probably his dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, fun little fact that everybody knows is that Michael J. Fox was not supposed to have been Marty McFly. He was like one of the first choices, but he was busy shooting a show, and they casted Eric Stoltz, who looks a lot more like the parent characters than Michael J. Fox does. Like he looks like everybody in the family, but I guess he was playing it super seriously, where they needed someone to do it more comedically. Which I don't know if that's true.
They might have just wanted McFly's name more.
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox's name.
Well, because like I've seen Eric Stoltz in other things, and he's a lot funnier than Michael J. Fox is. Like he's in Pulp Fiction. He's the drug dealer. The one who has to. They have to go to his house to get the shit to pump Uma Thurman's heart. Oh, and he's like, prank call. He's like, are you calling me on a cellular phone? Prank caller. He hangs up, and he's like, yeah. That's great. He's hilarious, and I think I can see like if you see the footage, like he's definitely a lot darker. Like he's playing it, but I think like that would be I think that was what he was going for, like with his performance would have been like the joke of like everyone else around him is like over the top and crazy, and he's just like down to earth and serious and like a fish out of water, which I think makes more sense. Yeah, but clearly they made the right decision. Yeah, because I do like how it ended up coming out. Yeah. It's pretty great. Yeah, I would just kill to see. I've seen the Eric Stoltz cut. Very small bits of it. Yeah, like some stuff that's come out, like just a scene or two that people will play side by side to be like, look, this is weird. Yeah, yeah. Because the costuming's the same and everything. No, the costume's different. He has a different costume on. That's why it's also like darker and stuff. Yeah, in my head, I picture the side by side, and they're both wearing the like life jacket outfit. But there's like this, the shot when Marty realizes it's his dad, and he's like slowly looking over. When you see Eric Stoltz's version, like him and Crispin Glover look exactly alike. Oh, cool. So that's why it's like, that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, hashtag release the Stoltz cut. Just so I can see it. I like when he meets his dad for the first time, because you see Biff's voice, "Hey McFly," and they both turn around, and then like, and I don't know. I like that they pretty much have the exact same interaction that they had at the house, where it's like he's copying his homework. It's like identical. Yeah, he even does the anybody in there thing on his head. And then you have like the future mayor Goldie Wilson as like a janitor or whatever. Which there's like a couple posters that are hung up around town, and then a van that goes by. And then like Mayor vote again for Mayor Goldie Wilson, and then like he's just like why do those kids push you around? He's like, I'm going to night school, I'm gonna be somebody. He's like, yeah, he's gonna be mayor. He's like, I like the sound of that. And they're like, a colored mayor? Yeah, I'll be the day. You know, so I'm gonna clean up the city. And like, how would you clean up the floor? That's good. I wonder if there was more of that, and like there had to have been. Yeah. Even if there was just another scene with them in it. Yeah, it just feels like there's no way that they made a big deal about Mayor Goldie Wilson and then had that scene, and then like not in the original script they didn't have like 2 or 3 more things. Because like thinking about it, like Marty spends like a week in 1955, but we see like maybe like 3 days of it. Yeah. So there had to have been a day where something happened with Goldie Wilson, maybe a subplot that they just got rid of. Because they might have even shot it, because it's pretty heavy. Like, I feel like the amount he's brought up in the present doesn't like make sense to have it be a 45-second scene with him in it. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels like it should be another bigger character. Yeah, it's weird. Because you definitely can, like, I think there probably was a subplot with Goldie that just didn't fit. Because I also don't know how you could have fit it in here. Yeah, this is like the perfect length movie. Do you know the exact runtime? Or? 1 hour and 55 minutes, I think. It does not feel that long. I would have guessed it was 1.5 hours. Yeah. Yeah, this is really not even a slow point. That's counting credits. So it's
Yeah.
probably like realistically like an hour and 40.
Yeah. Huh. It's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think there's like one point where it kind of slows down for me. I'm trying to think of like what it is. It definitely has to do with like Doc in the 50s. I think it's a lot of like the
lightning cable thing.
No, that shit's awesome.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say because we were on edge.
Yeah. It's like the stuff where they're where it's like Marty trying to tell Doc that he's gonna die, and they keep doing it over and over, and I'm like, all right, let's
just write the letter.
Yeah, let's get this shit going.
Yeah.
Okay. But other than that, I think it's well paced. I like Marty follows George around, and he prevents George from getting hit by the car. He wakes up thinking it's a dream.
Yep.
Because he hears his mom's voice, but then it's his mom, and she's hot as fuck now.
Dude, I totally like missed. I think in my head I was like, oh yeah, it's just a dark room, and he's like, oh, mommy, and I figured it was the mom from like his grandmother, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I just figured now that it's the same voice because it's the same actress.
Yeah.
That's a nice little touch.
Again, he wakes up and it is his mommy, but she's hot as fuck now, and she's like, his pants are off, and her pants are on her hope chest because she's infatuated with him, and she really wants to bang him. She's very forward about it, and she thinks his name's Calvin Klein because it has his name Calvin Klein on his boxers. He goes downstairs. He meets his family in the 50s, and Joey's in a
little crib.
Yeah, he's like, get used to these bars, kid, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's a proper amount of payoff for just a cake gag.
Yeah,
early. And I think that's why the mayor scene feels weird to me. Where I'm like, oh, there's a lot in the beginning and like a lot for his second one. And it like had the one joke of sweeping the floor.
Yeah. It's just the mayor thing. There has to be some deleted scene. I'll look it up later. But
we'll deep dive.
Yeah, we'll do a deep dive. Come back, do the episode again. What happens after that? Oh yeah, he goes to see Doc. Because Marty rushes out of there. Because he's like, this is too fucked up. And they have a bunch of gags where it's like, Lorraine, if you have a kid like that, I'll disown you. Because that's her kid.
Yeah.
And he goes to see Doc, and Doc is wearing a giant thing on his head
to try to read thoughts.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. And Doc does not believe that Marty's from the past until Marty was like, you told me I did a bump on your head. You told me all about it. The fuck's the past? And he opens the door, and as Doc does. Christopher Lloyd is obviously iconic and phenomenal in this movie. Everyone's phenomenal in this movie. It's a great fucking movie. And
it's just Doc really takes it with the body acting. It's so good.
Yeah, he does like the thing, which is like to show how absurd the 80s are. It's like, who's the president in the 80s? Ronald Reagan. Oh, the actor.
Yeah,
a lot of that.
Yeah, he had some good. I can't remember the names he gives. But he's like, oh, and
Jerry
they're
Lewis
president.
Vice president, something, Jane, something as secretary.
Just keeps going.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Big fan of references.
Yep. I get that.
Yeah. It's the thing I know.
I clapped.
Yeah. Nick did clap multiple times during the screening of this movie. And then they figure out that they need to go back to 1985, but, 1.21 gigawatts. You can't get a gigawatt.
There's his reaction to hearing himself say 1.2 gigawatts is okay. So what did I just say?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to rewind, and it makes me think of with computing, the hard drive spaces have gone wild. Like the idea of a terabyte back, even like in like 95 is like, what? I don't even, and now it's like exabytes and stuff, like even thousands of terabytes, and it's like, I hate that in the future there'll be like petabyte drives in computers when I I hate the idea of filling a terabyte right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he freaks out because there's no way he can create a gigawatt unless there's a bolt of lightning. It's one of my favorite bits that Doc Brown has in this movie. Is he's like, the only thing that can create a gigawatt thing is a bolt of lightning. He's like, and Marty's like, what did you say? A bolt of lightning. He says it the exact same way. And he's like, you never know when a bolt of lightning's gonna happen. He's like, we do now because he's hit the flyer from Save the Clock Tower because the clock tower was hit by the lightning, and it's just like, oh, bringing it back.
That's something too, where like it could have been, oh, the clock tower it's been stuck at 10:04 or whatever since it got hit by lightning on this day. But it's like they have this little informative sheet that was passed around. And it's like, oh, I like that he's not just like flexing that for some reason it was such a big town event. Everybody knows when lightning struck the tower and turned it off. Mm-hmm. It's so great.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, if they couldn't figure it out, do you think Marty would just have to live throughout the 50s and 60s, and then once the 80s happened and him and Doc were able to create the time machine that he could just go back and be like, yo,
you can get wild with it.
This is when it's gonna happen. This is when the lightning bolt's gonna happen here. So just do that.
Yeah, or even like just get plutonium.
Yeah,
because I really don't know how impossible. I'm sure the difference between how much was available, like for science and military and stuff in the 50s was very different than the 80s still, but I imagine it wasn't like that hard because Doc Brown's like, yeah, it's not just at the grocery store. It's like, well, in the 80s it wasn't either. You kind of robbed the military.
Well, I think that's like 30 years of being blue-balled, of knowing how to create the thing, and so he's like, I have to create the thing. It's like, it's time. So desperate times calls for desperate measures. Gotta get some plutonium. God damn it.
No, that makes sense.
But
like,
we have a young spry Doc Brown who's not ready to break the law yet.
Yeah, that's true. He's still very rich in this one.
Yeah, he spends his entire family fortune on time machine that's going to cause him nothing but pain.
Oh, that's so sad to think about.
Yeah.
He wasted his entire life making something that he knows that he can create.
Yeah.
He just hasn't got there yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I know I do this, so I'll keep throwing money at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, in the 50s, he could be like, huh. So he just take a blueprint of everything that the thing has. He's like, so that's how I do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can save all this money and just buy these parts.
That's pretty funny.
And invest in these things.
Yeah. I think I might have seen a little bit of the second one because I know about the
almanac.
Yeah. Like it gets left in the past and then President Biff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure happens.
Yeah.
And I think I remember it all from the Trump election because everybody's like, oh, it's like this is happening.
Yeah, I always love when that shit happens, when something happens in like the world.
The Simpsons predicted it.
Dude, it's like the movie. It's just like, yeah. It's like movies are supposed to be reflections of real life or something, dude.
Yeah, it's like Idiocracy is one that happens all the time. And I'm like, that was the point of that stupid movie.
Yeah.
Oh man,
God!
Soon it'll be Wall-E.
Oh yeah,
man! If only we knew.
Yeah. I like. And then after that happens, I like Biff. No, not Biff. Marty is like, cool. I can spend a week in the 50s, and they're like, you can't do that.
Yeah,
dude.
You stay right here.
And he's like, well, actually, I already kind of prevented my parents from getting together, and his brother is now missing. Is starting to disappear in the photograph, and he has only a little bit of time to rectify that. Also, Billy Zane's in this movie. I forgot to say that.
Yeah.
Billy Zane's in Biff's gang. That's awesome.
His crew.
Yeah. My man Billy Zane.
The posse.
Look at him. He's so young. So spry.
Is he the middle one?
Yeah, he's the one who has like the toothpick.
Back. Yeah. Toothpick is the perfect way to do. Like, yeah. I guess they each had their own thing. Like
yeah, he watched Drive and was like, that's literally me.
Drive. I was thinking more like Grease.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a lot of Drive vibes there.
Yeah. And so Marty has now tasked himself to get George to. He needs to get his dad to fuck his mom.
Yeah. And not get in the way of it again.
Yeah, and yet he continuously gets in the way of it, because Lorraine is Marty's mom is obsessed with him, has the hots for him, and it completely ignores George. And he finds out that George is a writer, and he's like, and George's like, I don't like people or myself, I can't handle that rejection, which is something that Marty said earlier about his music.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh my god. And they, what's the other time he gets in the way? George is like, I'm not ready to ask a girl to the dance, and no one on this earth can change that. So Marty dresses up in his plutonium nuclear uniform and says, I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Yeah.
You need to date Lorraine or I'm going to fry your brains. And the next morning, Marty's like just chilling at a gas station. The sweatiest Crispin Glover imaginable walks up to him. He's like, Darth Vader said he's going to melt my brain.
He's like, hey, you weren't in school, bud.
Yeah, and my favorite bit of that, he's just like, hey, how do we keep this Darth Vader and brain melting stuff to ourselves? And Barry's like, oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then he goes on to write Star Wars.
Imagine. I wonder if that's why they called him George.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. A little tidbit.
Yeah, because, I mean, Zemeckis is in that crew.
Oh,
that Hollywood 80s elite.
And Spielberg's attached to this, too. So
And Spielberg and Lucas are like...
Yeah, I just remember
boys.
People always talking about those like big 4 or 5 like trading points in their movies and stuff, and
yeah,
like just making each other millionaires.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I'll give you 2 points of Star Wars if I can have some of that Back to the Future money.
Yeah, and it's just like those Star Wars points probably are worth a lot more than those Back to the Future points.
Yeah, but maybe like Indiana Jones or oh, I don't know.
Indiana Jones, I think, is probably worth more than Back to the Future.
Yeah. I really want them to just do something with Indiana Jones.
They are.
Is it? Yeah, because Harrison wanted like a write-off, right? That was part of his deal to come back as Han. He was like, we have to do one more Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they're doing it. It's coming out next year.
That's sick. Is it Shia LaBeouf?
No, it's Harrison Ford.
No. Who will take the mantle?
I don't think anyone's taking the mantle.
Oh. I think Indiana Jones could be much like Bond, and it could just be a professor who goes on expeditions.
I don't think it can.
I would love it to be.
I don't think.
You also don't think Bond could be Bond, though.
I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think there should be.
Next, you're gonna say Marvel doesn't know what it's doing.
I mean, I don't know how to break this to you, Nick, but they don't.
What do you mean? The new Thor came out and was a blockbuster.
Yeah, everyone loved it, too. Everyone's loved the last 5.
Yeah. Dude, when was the last one people like actually really, really liked? Was that the last Avengers one?
Yeah. I mean, people like Spider-Man, but like that's like so tangentially a part of it because it's a different studio.
Yeah. That's an interesting idea because Spider-Man got the like top grossing of all time, right? Did it end up getting that? Okay.
We're still in Avatar world, baby.
Okay. Is it second or third or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like the highest since pandemic, but anyway.
I wonder where Morbius is on that.
Well, Morbius made $400 more billion.
Or Batgirl.
Yeah. So George goes to the diner to go to ask Lorraine out and tell her that she's his density. And he's like, "Oh, I meant to say my destiny."
Yeah, I hated that whole scene. Except the Marty fight's good.
No, I love. Give me a milk chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That's great. And then it's already ready and slides over to him.
Yeah, I just like him walking over to her and being like, "Hello, I bought your density," and she's like, "What?" He's like, I'm George McFly. It's awesome. Why do you hate that?
I think it's because it's so quiet. I know it's supposed to be, but it's like it was hard for me to hear it, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I think I was just getting too cringe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, make it stop.
I think once you experience enough Chris Chan, you can take any cringe.
Is he in prison?
He's in jail for sure right now.
Yeah.
Trial's happening as of this recording.
Oh boy.
But anyway, Biff interrupts and he's like, I told you not to come in here anymore, which I don't remember that happening.
Yeah. Because I don't think he says that in the scene where he's eating cereal.
No.
Which is the only other scene where they're in there.
He might have.
Okay. When he's leaving?
Yeah. I think he says, don't let me get you in here again with McFly or some shit like that.
Weak.
I don't know. But...
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he had to have said it in a movie like this tight.
Yeah.
There's no way he didn't.
Also, you're right.
Yeah. I also like that the kid from the Wonder Years is in this. That's like the little brother from Lorraine's little brother.
The one with the possum hat?
Yeah. He's like the older brother from Wonder Years. He's also like the annoying kid, child actor in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I don't remember.
Okay.
You remember that kid?
Yeah.
I've been ready.
Is it his neighbor?
No, he's the kid that gave the bike to him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's like acting later in the movie, and they're like, "Are you ready?" He's like, "Oh, I've been ready. I've been ready since first call."
It's legendary. I remember I like hating the character, but the actor for the neighbor.
Oh, Francis.
Yeah. I was like, he did a good job with that.
Yeah, he's good. I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Good movie.
Came out the same year as this.
Really?
Mm-hmm. 1985, good year.
I think I might like Pee-wee more.
Ah, yeah, me too. And did I ever tell you all about the most unhinged Mark era? It was in 2016, and there was a summer. It was like the summertime, and I was living with my friend was living with me. And we were watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and we were like talking as like the credits were going, and then the DVD menu popped up, and we were still talking, and then the movie just started playing again, and I was like, "How long could I go without taking this out?" And I spent like the next 3 weeks with Pee-wee on 24/7. Like it'd be on mute,
yeah,
but it was just continuously running. Over and over, like while I was sleeping, Pee-wee was playing. When I would wake up, Pee-wee would be playing. It was just on.
That's pretty funny.
Constantly until we had like it was like a snow. Like, it wasn't a snowstorm. It was like a rainstorm or a lightning storm, and the power went out. And I was like, I'm free.
That's honestly kind of haunting.
So I have Pee-wee's Big Adventure burned, like literally, actually burned into my brain.
That's terrifying.
Like shot for shot, I know everything that happens. But anyway, back to this movie. We have the iconic. Well, Biff basically tries to fuck with George, but Marty steps in, and then they had the iconic skateboard chase, where Marty invents skateboarding,
and then the manure ending of it, where Biff slams into
the manure
truck.
Yeah. And that's great. I love everything to do with that.
$300 in damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of poop.
It is a lot of poop. Harvested poop.
Yeah. I just love that it's just parked in the center of town.
Yeah.
They're like, yes.
And nobody's walking around like, oh, it smells like shit. So get your fucking shit truck out of here, dude.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when the water treatment plant's going, everybody's like, miles away from it, reeks. It's like, oh, stop, please.
That's one of the great things about living next to sewage is that it always smells like shit.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah,
the city,
city life. And after that, Lorraine goes to Doc Brown's house. Well, actually, no. First, Doc shows him like this like crude model, which is absolutely perfect.
He's like, "Oh, sorry, it's not painted or the correct scale." It's just like,
and Marty's like, "Shut up."
And it's funny because it is painted all white. It's just like not painted detailed.
Yeah,
because there's stuff in there that like there's a toolbox in there that's just already pure white.
Yeah,
it's like, you did paint it, but you're only one layer in.
He's like he shows them the plan, which is to have like these wires connected to some lampposts that are connected to the clock tower. That's gonna send an electrical shock, and they have like a second to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta be to the second, and the model obviously fails. It lights on fire, it lights all his shit on fire, and he has to put it out. And then Lorraine,
it's his like oil rag bucket that a flaming car drives into. I was like, oh no, his house is gonna burn down.
Yeah, and he's like, so Lorraine shows up, and it has it's one of my favorite Docism in the movie, is when Lorraine's like walking. He's like, "Hi, my name is." He's like, he shakes her hand. He's like smiling, and then she walks past him, and immediately his eyes wide open. He just starts staring at Marty, and as he's walking away, his eyes get wider and wider. And I'm
just like, "This is my Uncle Doc."
Yeah, we got to talk about when he was in school, and he's just like, "What did your mother ever see in that kid? He's a fucking dweeb."
Oh yeah. And nobody questions that Doc and Marty are in this high school.
Yeah. Eventually, Marty comes up with this plan. I'm gonna take advantage of my mother. George, you're gonna pull me out of the car and punch me in the face. Mm-hmm. I'll be down for the count. You're in. And they go to do that. And once Marty gets in the car, he can't do it because his mom is like, "This isn't the first time I parked before." He starts drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes. He's like, "Jesus Christ! Like, what are you doing,
Mom?"
She's already naked, and then she like pounces on him, and she's like, "This is like kissing my brother," which I'm like, kissing your brother, feels like Lorraine. A lot of incest going on in this family. I don't like it. And
it's like Star Wars.
Yeah. What is it? These 80s and 70s filmmakers that really like incest.
Yeah.
And Biff ends up pulling Marty out of the car and being like, "You caused $300 of damage to my car. I'm going to beat the fuck out of you." And they throw him into he notices that Lorraine's naked. He's like, "Oh, actually, I can rape this girl instead of doing that." Mm-hmm. So he decides to do that, and his boys Billy Zane throws him in a trunk. Mm-hmm. And
Of the band.
Do we say that? Do we quote
wouldn't.
this? Okay.
They throw a racial...
Is that a racial slur?
It's I wouldn't...
It's a derogatory term. I don't know if it's a racial slur.
It's enough that I don't want to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, even though Nick has a history of saying racial slurs on the podcast.
Yeah, you say Wonder once. There's one time.
There was multiple times. You kept saying it.
Yeah, because I forgot that it was not PC anymore.
Yeah. For everyone who wants to know, go back and watch our For Russia with Love review and watch Nick try to describe the fight scene that happens.
Yeah, immediately after looking for synonyms, I'm like, come on, give me something good.
He's like, what do I call them? I'm like, you can just call them villagers.
It's not a village though.
It's a camp. So while that's happened, George makes his way out to the car. Oh yeah, so they're like, "Oh, we don't want no problem with you, racial derogatory slur."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who you calling racial derogatory slur, Peckerwood?"
And then the whole band steps out of the car.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey man, we don't want to pick fights with no reefer heads," which I think is like hilarious. And then Marty's stuck in the trunk, but the keys are in the trunk. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. As this happens, George exits the car, or goes to the car. He's like, "Hey, get your meat hooks off of her," and he. But now it's Biff. And he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah. Oh man.
And he's like, "Just walk away, McFly. Pretend like you didn't see anything." And Lorraine's like, "Please help me." And for the first time, George gets a backbone. He's like, "No, Biff, I'm not gonna do that."
And he
Biff
gets whopped.
Tries to break his arm. Marty gets out of the car. but the guitar player cuts his hand. Very important detail.
Mm-hmm.
Marty walks over and he sees Lorraine gets pushed on the ground, and George goes into beast mode and knocks Biff out.
His hand's just vibrating.
Mm-hmm. After that, he gets the girl.
Yeah.
And then Marty has to, but the band can't play, so Marty has to play the guitar. But as this is happening, Marty almost disappears completely because George won't kiss her, and he gets cut in. But then he stands up, kisses her. Earth Angel plays us out, and then Marty plays a Van Halen solo, and everyone's like, "That that was fucked."
Yeah. That was loud.
Yeah.
Didn't like that.
Yeah, he creates distortion 9 years before the Kinks are going to. And then, now that George and Lorraine are together, they say their goodbyes. We have the most ball-tingling, edge-of-my-seat moment of the film where everything that can possibly go wrong with the third act is happening.
Yeah. And then everything that can go wrong happens, and then even more happens, too.
Yeah, like the thing gets unhooked, and then Doc gets up there and hooks it, but then the car won't start, and he also knows that the other side of the thing is unhooked, so he has to go down there and unhook that part, but he has like fucking 10 seconds before Marty gets there. He does it on the second. Marty goes back, and we're back to the shittiest Heel Valley possible. Porn theaters, homeless people, everything. It looks like
hey,
the 80s.
Brett, looking good.
Yeah. Marty heads back to the Lone Pine Mall.
Falls,
and he also gets there late.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, 10 minutes should be good enough time. I was like, no, you 30.
Yeah.
Because you want to get there before you get there.
That's a good point. Yeah, just hide in the bush and wait.
Be like, Doc, they're going to kill you. So.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So that way he doesn't see himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, could have done that.
Yeah. But, no. I actually don't even think that would have worked, but because then Doc's like, well, you could have told me, because, like, before.
Oh, shit, I didn't bring my bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
If only you had written me a note
30
years ago.
But, and he watches Doc get killed, he goes down there, but Doc had a bulletproof vest because we can't, it's the 80s. You can't have a sad ending in the 80s American film.
Nope.
It's against the law. So you had to have the joyous, big blockbuster moment where Doc read the letter regardless of tearing it up earlier in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And so Doc's alive. He's like, I'm going to go into the future. We'll look you up. Bye-bye. Marty wakes up the next morning, and his house looks clean. And he's like, what?
Huh?
And his brother now has an office job, but he's like smart. And
he's wearing a suit.
And his sister has a bunch of boyfriends. And his dad is in shape, and his mom, and they're very happy because they have a lot of money.
Money equals happiness.
Yeah. So
and Biff's a loser.
He's cleaning up their cars. Now, Crispin Glover hates this movie.
Really?
Because he hates the ending. Because he's like, so what you're saying is that they were miserable because they were a working class family.
Yeah.
And so it made brought all their misery. But now that they have money, and success, now they're able to be like smart and functioning and pretty and happy.
They go, yeah, the opposite of poor.
Yeah. So now they're great.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think it works for the movie to be like, oh, look, it's the opposite of what he's used to. But like I said earlier, I think they were fine. Just the dad wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, besides that, like, Jack's probably still in jail.
Yeah. I think it's like you could have just had like the sister, like, yeah, she's like now allowed to, like, the mom's is like less restrictive and she's like not as angry anymore. The dad is like more confident in himself and he's writing books, but they're not like enough to get him a fucking not enough to buy a fucking truck for his 17-year-old son.
Yeah. I wonder.
It's that stupid 80s materialism bullshit. That materials buy happiness, so buy our products. Sponsored by Pepsi and JCPenney.
Because I wonder, is the truck the big problem for you?
Kind of.
Yeah, because I don't think having the truck really adds anything. Because it's like the son didn't earn, like Marty didn't earn that or anything.
Yeah.
So why does he like feel good about it? Oh, daddy bought me truck, yay.
Yeah, because my daddy punched Bully, so Bully now is our servant.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
I don't like. I think the truck is what puts it over for me. The other stuff, I'm like, oh, he goes from a like, it's not blue collar. I don't know what to call fast food, but working as like a restaurant person, and now he works an office job. It's like, I guess those are opposites. Like if you were gonna pick job opposites, or like a submariner to a like flight attendant type thing. Like I don't know what you would do to show that, oh, he fucked up and everything's completely inverted.
Yeah.
Or what if the genders were swapped in like because there's one of each. I was gonna say his sisters, but he only has one sister.
Yeah.
It's like it ends up that he has like twin sisters or something instead of older and brother and sister.
I think that would have been an interesting thing to have like him have different siblings.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how can you also predict the same nut?
Yeah. They still had sex at the exact same times.
Yeah.
That could be cool. Or maybe he becomes an only child because they're like, oh yeah, we just stopped after one. Like,
Yeah.
He's the youngest, right?
Yeah.
That could be. I think that would be a better opposite than that. And then I think I'd be more fine with the car.
Yeah.
But I don't really know why, but I feel like I would be.
I just don't like it. I just don't like the fact that like, oh, like money bought them happiness.
Oh,
it's like true.
totally
Money
like
does
that.
buy you happiness if you're not like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have to worry about survival, you're probably gonna be a lot happier with your life because you're able to go out and do things.
Exactly.
AKA go watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty if you want more proof on that. That's what that movie's about as well.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I think you could have done a thing where it's like George is like, yeah, he's like writing and he's enjoying his life, but like they're not like, and like they live in suburbia, but like they're not like rich. Like he can't buy his son a truck.
Do they still have the same house, right?
Yeah, that's also what doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
to me.
Imagine if it was like a different name, but then how would he have gotten home? Huh?
Because they play with that idea in 2, where he goes to back to the house and it's not his.
That would have been better, I think.
Yeah.
If they were gonna do it this way. But then it kind of like they have the reveal of everything after he wakes up. If they did it that way, the reveal would have to be like he wouldn't be going to sleep and waking up in a fish out of water.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be arriving in it.
Yeah.
Which would be, you'd have to write it a little different, but
yeah. Like I said, I just think it has like that weird 80s
does.
materialism bullshit that I don't like.
Yeah.
Or it's always like 80s movies have that tendency of just being like having things makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like I hate that because it's like because that's like the decade that's like other than this decade it's the most like byproduct you smile,
Yeah.
like byproduct family love you.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think most of the 2000s have been that way. Actually, I honestly, since like the 80s might have just started it and then it's just been
I feel like the 90s kind of had like a
growing.
rejection of that though, where like they started being like products actually bad, like products will kill you.
Nah, because that's like when credit cards and stuff started getting out of control for people. Because like I had so many toys as a kid.
Me too.
It's like, what? I needed like 10 I'm a fucking baby. Throw me like a sock. I don't need a playroom.
Yeah.
But I think both of us are in the like more minority now, being like, oh, let's not collect a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I sit here collecting things and I go, I hate myself for this.
Me too.
Yeah. Dennis is like a perfect example of that. He collected Blu-rays a little while ago. And afterwards, he was like, why am I buying this shit? He's like, I am doing it for like dopamine hits. And then I just have this stuff that I look at. So he got rid of all of it. And I was like, I wish I could do that. I go, ooh, look at my Blu-rays.
Yeah, I'm the same way, dude. I can't. Like, I got a fucking wall of DVDs.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's a cool looking wall.
It's a cool looking wall, but I'm like, I could have bought a house.
Yeah. Just sell it.
Yeah, for like 50% less than what I bought it for.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, I don't even think I could.
You get the resale. We're doing that with my dad's stuff.
Yeah.
Like he collected, so my dad collected toy cars and like Batman memorabilia stuff. And I'm like, oh, you're welcome to look at some of it if you want. There's hundreds and hundreds of items. Like I don't know, I guess it's like 10-gallon. I always call them Tupperware as a joke, but now I don't, like Rubbermaid, the big bins.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 20 of just Batman and G.I. Joe. And it's like each one of Hot Wheels was a big thing. And it's like each one of these costs $2 to $3. And like some of them are worth like, we're going to get like a nickel for. It's like all of that money. It did not go.
Yeah.
It did not increase in value.
Yeah, he could have bought you a 4x4 truck.
Yeah. No, dude.
And then you could have been happy with your life.
I know. I should, dude, if I just had stuff, I'd be happy.
Yeah. If only
If I learned anything from Back to the Future.
Yeah, if only your dad wrote Star Wars and your life would be happy.
If only he was visited by Darth Vader.
Exactly. That's the moral of Back to the Future. That's the thing about, so Robert Zemeckis, while I think I like him, all of his films have questionable morals. Because, like...
That fucking Polar Express, dude.
I don't know when the last time you've watched Forrest Gump with a critical eye. And a lot of people pointed this out, like, the moral of that movie is pretty fucked.
Is it something to do with special needs?
No, so... The movie's basically saying don't rebel or question any authority and your life will be great. But if you question any authority, you're going to be miserable and you're going to die of AIDS.
Oh, cool.
Because that's like what Jenny is. Jenny's like a person who's been abused all of her life. So she hates authority. Yeah. But every time she rebels, she just gets more abuse. Whereas Boris just blindly goes like, okay, sir, I'm here to say do anything you say, Joel Sargent. Yeah. And he becomes like a multi-billionaire.
No, it makes sense. I totally see what you mean. Yeah.
And so like... Zemeckis has like this thing in all of his movies of just like, yeah, now that you have a lot of money and things, you're happy and life's great. Isn't it great living in a white suburbia?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Castaway's a FedEx ad.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Imagine if Castaway came out now and it was just Amazon Prime packages.
That would be funny.
Just a giant.
He'd probably have a lot more in his disposal. But yeah, so I don't like that part of the ending. Neither does Crispin Glover, and it's the reason why Crispin Glover does not return to the sequels. And he sued them over that, which we'll get to when we talk about them. But yeah, the actual ending of this movie is sequel bait, which wasn't like a thing at the time. But I do like it because then it means like, well, they said Zemeckis did it as a gag. He didn't actually intend to make a sequel. Mm-hmm. Like, he thought it'd be funny if it ended on, like, a...
Yeah, I think it's funny that it ended there, but knowing there's sequels, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah, but I think it's fine because it doesn't do that thing that most trilogies happen where the first movie was a movie that was made on its own and they didn't intend to make a sequel, and so it has, like, a conclusive ending, and then make a second one that ends on a cliffhanger, and then, like, the second and third one is so intrinsic... It's like the Star Wars trilogy where, like, A New Hope ends... Mm-hmm. Pretty conclusively.
Yeah. And they go, oh, Death Star's back.
Yeah.
Oh, they had to.
Yeah. And, you know, it's...
John Wick is my version of that, where I'm like, man, I love that first movie. Mm-hmm. And then the other two, I'm like, oh, the first one was so good.
I mean, I love the Holy Trilogy there. But,
yeah.
You know, it's also Pirates of the Caribbean is another good example. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. No, that's the second
Dead
one.
Man's Chest is the second one.
Curse of Black Pearl is the first one, right? Yeah. That one ends conclusively.
Yeah.
But then the second and third one are so fucking tied together.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what happens in most trilogies. But this one, it's like you get it from the get go. It's like it's like one true story.
Mm-hmm. It's a quote mark on this being a true story.
This literally happened. This happened to me.
Are you Doc or Marty?
I'm the brother. I'm the idiot brother.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Sheba's
If anybody, I'm fucking George, dude.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that we both agreed on the ending issue.
Yeah, no, I think
I thought it was going to be a debate because every time I talk to other people about it, they're always like, "You're reading way too into it." And I'm
no,
like,
I think he said, "Okay, or even like setting up initially, being like, oh, let's make them like unhappy, and then they'll be happy at the end, and then they just did it through stuff."
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you could have like done other stuff.
Yeah, I think Crispin Glover said it. I could be wrong, but I think he suggested that he wanted them to have money in the beginning and be miserable, and then later on be he's like working class and writing books and stuff, but like they're not making money, but they're happy now.
Yeah.
But instead, like Zemeckis is like, no, propaganda.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That'd be very interesting.
But yeah, anyway, let's do our thing.
Oh, I don't have it ready. Drew, I think the first one's direction.
No, first one's story.
Story it is.
It is?
I don't. We can just do it while I try to find the
okay. Notebook. So I'm gonna give the story 5 stars, even after I just shit on the ending for a good 10. But the story is immaculate. It's wonderful. It's so tight.
The payouts with everything are so good.
Yeah, with the exception of Goldie Wilson, which probably should have been more.
Yeah.
He probably cut it out because he's black.
Yeah.
Because the way they treat black characters in Zemeckis movies is never usually the best.
I liked how the band was, though. I felt like they were all good characters and
distinct.
Yeah, and given like a good amount of personality for each of them, not just like even like the looks the drummer gives. Sometimes I'm like, that's great.
Yeah,
5 and 5. It's perfect. Directing
4.5. Because that ending irritates me.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's more the writer, or do you think that's...
Well, he wrote and directed.
Oh, okay.
So he could, and also a director has the ability to change things like that, usually, especially with something like this. That's like a passion project.
Yeah.
And because he didn't, a little sus.
I'm gonna...
But yeah, the way it looks, the way it's paced, the way it's blocked, everything is great. Mm-hmm. It's just there's some decisions in there where I'm like a bit annoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably going to go... I was trying to think of if I could justify going down to a 4, but I think 4.5 is where it should be. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't think it's perfect like the story was. Acting's the next one.
5.
Yeah, who do you think the weakest is? For me, it might be Biff.
For me, it's Marty.
Really? Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, he has that thing that every main character in a blockbuster of the 70s and 80s has, where the main character is the. Actually, I think that's like a thing in every blockbuster movie. The main character is usually the least interesting one,
especially in shit we've been watching lately. I'm like, damn, all these B characters are insanely better than the A character.
Yeah.
Like Princess Bride, I was like, I wish this was about them.
We got our start where in a world of just B characters, and we had the blandest A character of all time.
For 14 movies. Don't say all of it.
For all of them except the Lazenby and Brosnan era.
Yeah.
And maybe the Dalton era.
This is off topic, but we found, how like some movies get trading cards that are just scenes from the movie? We found a ton of GoldenEye ones. Oh, dude. That I'll bring some over next time.
Dude.
I was like, oh, these are sick.
Love that.
I meant to bring them, but I didn't go home, so
yeah.
I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah. I think Marty's the weakest part. The best I think is Crispin Glover.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah,
it's cool that Glover thought of all that stuff being as young as he is too.
Yeah, he was like a super artsy dude, and he was like 20 when he did this, which is insane.
Yeah, the decision to not come back feels like such an adult. Like you're not going to take a blockbuster paycheck because of your political views, like that's pretty good.
Yeah. Crispin, at the time, his dream was to work with David Lynch. That's what that was the career he wanted.
Did he do it? Or?
Yeah. He had a small role in the movie Wild at Heart, where his character shoves cockroaches up his ass.
I made it!
He's like, oh yeah, I'm a star.
Oh, I'm going to be thinking about that.
Nick is frantically going to Letterboxd to throw that into his watch list.
I've looked at the list of the things we list off, and I had already forgotten that cinematography was next.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's anything too crazy in this shot-wise, but it's not distracting at all either.
There's a lot of Spielbergian oneers in this. Like that opening.
Really didn't... Oh, that is long. That's probably like almost 3 minutes of the science stuff at the beginning. But like the car movements and stuff are good.
I think it's visually very. It's Dean Cundy. Dean Cundy rocks.
Yeah, I think it's
the colors
perfectly.
The color palette, the way that the 80s are all really wet and like.
Dude, the fucking pavement is soaked.
Yeah.
Every scene of this, except I don't think the manure chase has wet ground. It's wet. It's like anytime it's night, he's like, I want the reflections in the ground.
Well, it's probably because he has all the neon signs. He wants like the neon signs to bounce off.
But the park. Well, I think it's raining in present time.
It rained.
Okay. Because that's
Yeah. Oh yeah,
where else is it raining?
There's a bit that I wanted to point out earlier in the film. When Doc is like putting up the wires on the lamppost, the cop is like, "What is that? You have a permit?" And Doc's like, "Yeah, I have a permit." And you see in the background, he just opens his wallet. Yeah, I don't know where it is.
He's flipping through bills.
Yeah.
Oh, how much was that permit? They like. I'm just, as everybody knows, we have it playing in the background. I'm just watching for cinematography stuff now, and
I think it's good. Yeah, it's really good.
But I'm not like blown away by it. I guess is the.
But it's not there. It's not. This isn't Blade Runner. It's Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Like this is like it's trying to tell the story. It's putting the story above the visuals, but the visuals I think are iconic. And I think also because like the characters' performances are so physical that the camera is like kind of locked down a lot of the time, where it's like we can't be doing stuff. Like Dean Cundy is one of my favorite cinematographers. He's also he did almost all of the John Carpenter movies of the 70s and 80s. He did I know he did Halloween, The Thing, Escape from New York, and The Fog for sure. And he also did Jurassic Park and a few Spielberg films. The guy rocks.
Yeah. It looks great.
Yeah.
And then even like special effects, there's a flying car at the end and it doesn't look like shit.
Yeah, in 1985.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when the car first time travels, it leaves the fireprints on the ground. It's like super blue screened, I'm guessing. And it's them turning, and it's like the proportions are like off, but it's only like a second of it. And then it cuts to practical effect of fire on the ground, and it slowly burns out, and it looks sick.
Yeah,
I have to go 5. Ugh.
5, yeah. What's next? Score,
art
direction, 5.
Yeah, there's.
Very distinct, very, very iconic.
Costumes.
Great costuming, great
I can't wait
props.
for the hoverboard. Like the props in the next one, I already know it's going to be a 5, but this one was a good interlude to it. Like the stupid scooter,
wooden skateboard thing.
Yeah, it's like, why the fuck did the kid have this? But man, that's perfect. And then having it shoot sparks out when he,
tries to slow it down.
Yeah. All I can think of is the scooter brake.
Yeah.
And then editing.
4.5. Because I probably should have cut a lot more of the Goldie Wilson stuff out if they weren't going to have a payoff.
Yeah. It's funny because I always, a couple of them I always have trouble with. Editing, I wish I could see one of the other takes and be like, oh yeah, you guys made the right choice. Like, oh wow, I am so glad that you put that in or cut that. But yeah, I think it did great. I'd give it a 4.5 too. But yeah, it's pretty great. I think all in all. Oh, and standout performance.
Standout performance for me is Crispin Glover.
Yeah, it's gotta be. He's it's so perfect.
Yeah, like I think like the consensus is usually Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. But
he's great, but I think, and it might be because this like is such a big thing in culture in his part. So I was expecting him to be good. And then I go, oh shit, that guy's doing awesome too.
Yeah. I genuinely think Crispin Glover deserved an Academy Award nomination for his performance.
Yeah. Did Lloyd get one? Or?
No.
Okay.
But and I know that I think honestly all of them are great except I think Michael J. Fox is really good, and I think he does it exactly how he's supposed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think like I'm not watching Back to the Future because of Michael J. Fox. I'm watching it because of Christopher Lloyd.
You're right. Yeah.
Crispin Glover, Lea Thompson, and fucking Thomas Wilson. Because I love Biff.
Yeah,
a big Biff guy.
I think he's great. It's one of those things that I love and hate. I like when they do it the first time in current time, where he gives him the same spiel of like, oh, where's my homework? Oh, it's tomorrow. And the second time I'm like, oh, I know everything you're going to say. And it's delivered like the same.
Yeah.
Like, And I feel like those two are major parts with them. But the first time he does it, I love. And then I love at the end when he's
a little bitch.
Yeah. I think the difference between those two performances is so great.
I do like.
He's like, you got a package.
Yeah, I do like. I like when he's like, just put on the second coat now, Miss Jordan. Now, Biff, don't con me.
Yeah, just starting
right.
the second.
You're right. I meant to say I was just starting it. And he like, puts his hands on it. Like I love that.
It's so cartoony. It's great.
Yeah, he's such a great actor, underrated actor.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
Great one. I look forward to watching the second one.
Yeah, that was it, right?
Yeah, that was all the stuff we had.
All right, I'm gonna give it a 5-star full stop on the movie. Yeah. Love it. See you next week, everybody, for Back to the Future 2. Have a good one.
See you there.